doggy!
My daughter pointed and exclaimed, referring to my sister, the bride. Hey, Olive, stop it! The people gathered at the wedding venue smiled wearily, thinking it was just a mischievous act of a small child, and not particularly bothered. I hurriedly picked up my daughter and stopped her. Olive, that's not nice to say.
Huh? But yesterday, Auntie Erica was.
Today's my sister's big day. My sister Erica and I have never been close, but I wanted her to have a pleasant start to her new life, since she had kindly invited us to her wedding. My conscience was shattered by my daughter's innocent words. Let's go back in time for a moment. I'm Megan, a 32 years old full-time housewife living in a rented apartment with my husband, Joe, and our daughter, Olive. I married Joe 5 years ago and quickly became pregnant, giving birth to Olive. Joe dotes on our daughter. Many fathers may think that their job is just to work and bring in money, but Joe is different. He took paternity leave, which was still uncommon at the time when Olive was born, and took care of her and me full-time. He even changed her diapers, prepared milk and baby food, and dealt with her crying and tantrum almost flawlessly. Even now that Olive has grown up, Joe can take care of her without any problems, even when I'm not around. Every time I see Joe spending time with her daughter, I deeply realize how lucky I am to have married him. One day, Joe came home from work with a big smile on his face. Did something good happen? I asked, and Joe replied, Actually, I'm going to be promoted soon, and I'm going to be able to participate in a project I've wanted to join for a long time. Whoa, that's amazing! You've been working so hard lately. Congratulations! Joe's news made our daughter happy too, and we celebrated together.
Daddy, that's amazing!
My daughter clapped her hands happily. I can do my best because I have you too. Thank you, girls. I love you. Joe gently stroked our daughter's head and said that. I thought our marriage was like a picture perfect and smooth sailing. However, there was one thing that worried me about our life. It was Joe's personality. Joe was kind to everyone, not just his family, which was a good thing, but on the other hand, it also meant that he was a people pleaser. Moreover, he was easily persuaded. Shortly after our marriage, his personality became a problem. When a minor issue with his college friend, who was a girl, turned into a hassle. Joe was helping her with her problem, and she suddenly showed up at the house. Joe had told her to come to him anytime she needed help, and she had taken him at his word. I was also at home at the time, so I asked her to leave immediately. If I hadn't been there, Joe might have let her stay, and who knows, she might have even tried to seduce him. After she left, I talked to him about the issue, but he didn't seem to understand what was wrong. That's why I sometimes worry that something similar might happen again. I'm worried because I love Joe. One day, after dropping my daughter off at kindergarten, I was cleaning the living room when my phone rang. It was a text from my sister Erica, whom I hadn't spoken to for a few years. I was surprised and let out a gasp. It seemed like an emergency, because why else would she text me out of the blue? I quickly opened it, and it turned out to be an apology. My sister's always been beautiful, but she has been mean to me since we were children. For example, she used to give me her homework and household chores to do, and take away the games I had bought. When I was in high school, she even stole my first boyfriend. That's why I only kept in touch with her when it was absolutely necessary. The last time I invited her was to my wedding. I'm sorry for everything, and I want to apologize to you in person. I couldn't help but wonder why she would suddenly send me a text like that. To be honest, I thought it was a little too late for her to apologize. On the other hand, I also thought that we were both adults now, and we could have a normal relationship even if we weren't close. After thinking about it for a while, I finally decided to reply and suggest we meet at my place on Sunday. On the day we met, I saw my sister for the first time in years, and she hadn't changed a bit. She was as beautiful as I remembered she was.
Megan, it's been a while. Thank you for inviting me today. Here, it's for you.
She handed me a cake box with a smile on her face, and I led her to the sofa in the living room. I made coffee and returned to her.
Thank you.
Where are Olive and Joe? She looked around nervously while I answered her. They went to the park. They'll probably be back soon. She took a sip of her coffee and suddenly bowed her head.
I'm sorry for being mean all this time. I was really bad. I'm really sorry. I know it may be too late, but I thought if I didn't apologize now, I might regret it for the rest of my life.
Erica, please, lift your head up. She lifted her head hesitantly. It's okay. It's in the past, right? Let's forget it and keep in touch from now. My words seemed to make her relieved. And at that moment, my daughter and Joe returned from the park. Hey, I'm home. Oh, Erica. It's been a while since the wedding. Please, take your time. I had explained the situation to Joe when my sister contacted me that day. I only told my daughter that her aunt was coming to play.
Hello, Auntie Erica. Hey, let's play house together.
Despite being their first meeting, my daughter seemed to have taken a liking to my sister and invited her to play. My sister accepted it gladly, and the two of them started to play pretend. I was worried if my daughter would be shy around strangers, but there was no problem at all. We all had a good time eating the cake my sister brought and spending time together. I thought we should have made up earlier, and it was already time without noticing it.
Mommy, I'm getting sleepy.
My daughter, who had been playing energetically until then, rubbed her eyes and said so. She had played a lot in the park, so it was natural for her to be tired. Should we take a nap, Olive? Megan, I'll put her to sleep. Although Joe usually puts my daughter to bed, sometimes she would come to me and ask for my help.
I want Mommy today. Mommy, please.
Oh, that's rare. Yeah, sure. Megan, would you? I nodded and left my sister and Joe in the living room and took my daughter's hand, heading to the bedroom. In a few minutes, my daughter fell asleep. She must have been tired from playing too much. I looked at her sleeping face for a few minutes, even after she fell asleep. Then quietly left the bedroom, so as not to wake her up.
Oh, hey, Megan. I'm going to head home now.
Oh, really? Why don't you stay for dinner?
Well, actually, I have something to do after this. Sorry. We can hang out again soon.
And with that, Erica left her place. It was good to know that I could build a good relationship with my sister from now on. A week had passed since she came over to my house when I received a call from a friend back home who I regularly keep in touch with. She invited me on a trip as my birthday was coming up. Since giving birth to my daughter, I had taken a few family trips, but I have never been on a trip with my friends. I was hesitant to ask him, especially since he was tired from work. After much deliberation, I talked to my husband about it. A trip? That sounds great. You should go. I'll take care of Olive, so don't worry. Really? But it's a pretty far destination, and we'll be staying over for 3 nights. Won't you have trouble taking time off from work? When I asked him this, Joe shook his head. No, I can take some paid time off. In fact, I was just being pushed to take some off from work. So don't worry about it. Go ahead and enjoy the trip. His words put me at ease. And a month later, I went on a 3-night trip with my friends. This trip was a lot of fun, of course. I felt like I had gone back to my single days, and I had a blast with food, sightseeing, and everything else. When I returned home, Joe and our daughter welcomed me back warmly. They had enjoyed themselves while I was away, going out to eat and to the mall. It seemed like there was nothing for me to worry about, and I was relieved. And I was unpacking my bag from the trip, my sister called me on the phone. Although we hadn't met in person since she came over to my house a while ago, we occasionally exchanged texts. Hi, Erica. What's up?
Sorry to call you at this time, but I have something I want to tell you right away.
Her voice sounded full of joy, so it didn't seem like bad news.
Actually, I'm getting married to the person I was dating. We'll have a wedding in 3 months, so I really want you guys to come.
What? Congratulations! We'll definitely go.
Thank you. I'll let you know the details when we have them. Well, that's all for now.
And with that, Erica hung up the phone. She must have been really happy about the proposal. I immediately told Joe and our daughter that my sister was getting married. They both rejoiced as if it were their own news. I didn't think my young daughter would fully understand, but she seemed happy, so I was content. For a while after that, Joe's work suddenly became busy. He started working overtime and even working on weekends, which was unusual for him. He had said he was promoted and would be participating in a new project, so it couldn't be helped. Despite that, Joe was still taking good care of Olive. When I expressed a concern that he might be overburdened, he smiled kindly and said, "It's okay. Just being with Olive makes me forget my fatigue." Is there a better husband and father out there than him? At that time, I really thought I was lucky to have married Joe. However, one day, our daughter looked unusually gloomy. When I asked her what was wrong, she gave me an unexpected answer.
I want to play with Daddy. Daddy never plays with me anymore.
It was true that he spent time with her less often than before, but he should still be playing with her while I was out. It would be difficult for a daughter, who was almost 5 years old, to understand the situation and circumstances. Daddy is working hard for Mommy and Olive, so even if he can't play with you a lot, you shouldn't be selfish. When Mommy isn't here, you play house with Daddy, don't you? When I said that to her daughter, she made a strange face and seemed like she wanted to say something.
Never mind then.
She said so, put a nearby blanket over her head, and went to sleep. The day of my sister's wedding finally arrived. My daughter was wearing a beautiful dress and was very excited. Well, I hoped she would stay quiet during the wedding ceremony. Our relatives and the groom's relatives, as well as our friends and colleagues, had gathered in the chapel. A little after the scheduled start time, the groom finally appeared. He was a handsome man who worked for a famous company. Then, finally, the bride, my sister, appeared. She took a step forward, escorted by our father, who seemed like he was about to cry. That was when my daughter pointed her finger and burst out laughing, saying,
It's the doggy.
When she saw my sister's face,
Yesterday, when Mommy was out, Auntie Erica came to our house. Daddy kept playing doggy with her and didn't play with me.
What? Olive? What are you saying?
It's supposed to be a secret, but Daddy has been playing only with her. I'm mad.
I felt the blood draining from my body. Doggy play? What does that mean? Could it be that Joe was having an affair with my sister at home? I couldn't believe it. I thought he was a good husband and father, but he had been betraying me all along. I glared at my sister. She briefly looked surprised, but pretended not to hear. She even tried to continue with the wedding ceremony. However, at that moment, one of the attendees who had heard my daughter's story spoke up loudly. Me too. I and my friends have had our boyfriends taken away by that woman before. She was probably one of my sister's friends. Then the small commotion quickly spread throughout the venue. My sister could no longer bear it and threw off her veil, slamming it on the floor.
What are you talking about? That's obviously a lie. Who would have an affair with such an ugly and lame husband of yours?
I was angry at her words and couldn't help but retort. You've always been mean to me. I get it now. People never change. You only came to apologize to me to take Joe away. But I'm not going to be fooled again. I'll investigate thoroughly and take action.
Shut up!
Don't mess with me, Megan. My sister screamed with a bright red face, and I could hear scornful voices directed towards her from those around us. The venue staff tried to calm the situation, but it was already too late. Finally, my sister lifted up the hem of her long wedding dress and ran away. A few days later, as promised, I was able to gather evidence of my husband's affair and successfully filed for divorce. Of course, I also claimed damages from both Erica and Joe, and I received a lump sum payment from Joe for child support. My sister was also pursued for payment of damages due to the cancellation of the wedding ceremony. She had a decent career, but the incident caused her to lose her job. Now, she barely gets by working as a day laborer, and her once gorgeous looks have faded. As for my ex-husband, news of the affair leaked from somewhere and became a topic of discussion at his workplace. He was demoted and removed from the project he was working on. It's only a matter of time before he becomes unemployed. Neither my husband nor my sister noticed that our daughter had witnessed their infidelity that day. However, they had instructed her to keep their meetings a secret by saying, "It's a secret between Daddy and Olive, and we must keep it. Okay?" I cannot forgive my ex-husband and sister, and I have no sympathy for their current miserable situation. After the divorce, my daughter and I moved back to my parents' house. My parents were furious with my sister and declared a disinheritance on the day of the cancelled wedding ceremony. I feel sorry for depriving my daughter of her father, but I believe it was the right decision to cut ties with such traitors. I must work hard to provide for my daughter and ensure she never experiences any hardships. With that in mind, I found a new job immediately and plan to build a new life with my daughter in a new environment.
Welcome back. You must be tired. I have dinner ready for you.
As I moved toward the dining table, I saw that my favorite dishes were arranged on it.
You like this one, right? Come on, let's eat.
Hearing this, you probably think he is a good husband. But in reality, until yesterday, he had not done any household chores and treated me like a maid, scolding me all the time. What's this?
Oh, it's nothing. It's just a thank you for always taking care of me. Come on, hurry up and let's eat.
He said with a smile, urging me on. He didn't know that I already knew the real reason he was being so kind to me. My name is Carol, and I'm 35 years old. We have been married for 3 years, and this is the 10th year after my husband and I graduated from university. We met again at the reunion, and a month later, we got married. I was in a rush to get married, partly because of my age, and I accepted his early proposal without much thought. I knew it was moving fast, but honestly, I couldn't help it. I fell for him when I saw him at the reunion. He had become a handsome man, and he was considerate toward others. He seemed to shine the most among the members of the reunion. We started dating, and 1 month into our relationship, he said,
I know it's early, but let's get married.
I was honestly surprised and worried. But what gave me the push I needed was when he said,
It's okay if you work too.
My husband's name is James, and he's turning 36 because he repeated a year in college. Since we both worked, he took out the garbage and did laundry on weekends. He always willingly helped with the household chores, which made me happy. But that husband is no longer here now. Our relationship became awkward when his job switched to working from home. James himself doesn't seem to be happy about working from home and always expressed dissatisfaction with the company. As a proud husband, he didn't like seeing me leaving the house for work. In the first place, there were times when he looked down on me and saw himself as superior. He was a year older than me and worked for a top-tier company, which naturally led him to have such an attitude. Yet, James himself couldn't have felt good about me going to work while he was working from home. One day, when I returned home, I called out, I'm home. But there was no answer from James. Moreover, the kitchen and living room were a mess. What the heck? I shouted in my heart as I somehow managed to clean up the mess. I wanted to clean more, but I didn't have the energy left. I was exhausted just from tidying up. After that, I cooked and finally put the food on the table.
If dinner's ready, let me know sooner. Well, it's not like I'm expecting much from your cooking though,
James said as he emerged from his room wearing the same clothes he wore to bed. I was just about to let you know, I said in a hurry as I called out to James.
Stop making excuses and take care of the house like you're supposed to. You didn't leave me any food in the fridge today. Just because you work outside doesn't mean you can slacking off, you know?
What? But you said you were going to eat out today.
I changed my mind. Work kept me busy.
How am I supposed to know that?
I think it's a wife's job to prepare everything, so that it's okay no matter what happens. Since I, as a husband, am at home, I need to do the household chores like you're supposed to.
I'm already doing them. You haven't been helping lately.
What are you talking about? Just because I'm working from home doesn't mean I'm not busy.
James continued to find fault with me. By the time he had been working from home for 6 months, he didn't even get up for breakfast anymore. As I was leaving for work, he would say,
Have a great day, ma'am.
And then he would make sarcastic comments as he went to the bathroom. When I returned home, he greeted me with,
Welcome home, ma'am,
in a sarcastic tone. It was then that things got really bad. His mood would suddenly change, and he would say things like,
I couldn't work today because of you. You didn't wash my mug from yesterday. If you had washed it, my documents wouldn't have gotten dirty from the coffee.
Well, you could have washed it yourself.
You're neglecting your household duties.
I'm trying my best while I work.
Yeah, whatever. Just continue to believe you're trying. You're just a low-class woman.
I was boiling with anger at his verbal abuse that night. From then on, our conversations became minimal and awkward. However, one day, when I returned home, I was surprised to find that the living room was spotless, unlike before. I couldn't believe my ears after what happened next.
Welcome back. You must be tired. I have dinner ready for you.
As I moved toward the dining table, I saw that my favorite dishes were arranged on it. What is all this?
You like it, right? Come on, let's eat.
This tastes just the way I like. How did you know?
Oh, remember when we talked about different flavors? When you cooked for me before we got married?
In the seasoning rack in the kitchen, there were also seasonings that I used to prefer before we got married, and I felt a momentary discomfort in my husband's voice, but I thought it might be because he was just shy. When he cooked curry rice, I was surprised that my husband, who preferred pork, used beef, and even bay leaves to get rid of the odor. The cleaning was also more thorough, and the house was so clean that it was unrecognizable. Was he always capable? I thought to myself and felt uneasy. Things continued like this for a month, so I told him I would cook that night and left for work. When I returned, I cooked us dinner. I decided to tell him my feelings while having dinner. Thank you for always helping me. Where did you learn to cook and clean like that? I asked him while expressing gratitude.
It's great that you can learn from online videos when you search for it.
Even cooking?
Yeah, that's right. I do it while watching.
While watching, huh? You're skillful.
Well, there's nothing I can't do.
My husband said. But as far as I know, that dish is exquisite. Just watching YouTube, huh? I was feeling a sense of distrust. Even so, I felt relieved to have a kind husband and started talking to him. Hey, do you want to start thinking about having children soon?
Oh, I'm feeling a bit sick today. Is it okay if we don't try tonight?
My husband froze at my words and changed the subject. I wanted to continue talking about our fertility journey, but with work getting busier, we never got the chance. One day, my junior colleague Paige invited me to lunch. She's 2 years younger than me and has a straightforward personality. She's capable at her job, so everyone relies on her, including me. While having lunch, I talked about my husband's recent behavior. Paige immediately responded, "That's strange. They say there's always a reason behind someone's actions." What do you mean? When a husband or boyfriend suddenly becomes more affectionate or attentive, it's often to hide an affair. But he works from home, so there's no chance for him to meet someone. No, it's the other way around. You're not home, so you should be careful. Her words made me remember my husband's cooking, and I must have looked concerned because she said, "If you're worried, you should use a hidden camera." I said, "I don't think it's necessary," but she was proactive. I wondered why she was going to such length, but I appreciated her concern. Paige efficiently talked to the salesperson at an electronics store and purchased a camera that even I could handle. She then helped me set up the camera in my husband's room, living room, kitchen, and even the bedroom, timed for when my husband would go shopping. The hidden camera was shared with my PC and smartphone so that I could see in real time. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about my husband and the hidden camera. So, unable to wait, I nervously opened my smartphone during lunch break. My heart nearly stopped when I saw the person who appeared on the screen. What? Paige? Why is she in the footage? I quickly closed the screen. but my hands were shaking and my heart was racing. I couldn't focus on work in the afternoon, so I waited for the end of the workday and went to the nearby cafe to calm down with some coffee before playing back the hidden camera footage. James prepared his computer and was skilled in his work during the start of the web conference. However, when the meeting ended and the conference screen closed, he reached for his smartphone and began doing something on it. Then, he moved to the living room, and shortly after, the doorbell rang. He seems to have gone to the front door and disappeared from the living room. As soon as he reappeared, my body leaned forward to try to catch a glimpse of the woman next to him. It is Paige. I was shocked to the point where my heart almost jumped out of my chest. She had always listened to me talk about my husband and had been on my side, and she had even suggested the hidden camera. I was in a state of panic beyond words. Furthermore, I saw an unbelievable scene of the two of them captured on the hidden camera in the bedroom. I think I was beyond panic and in the state of shock.
Are you okay, ma'am?
The voice of the waiter brought me back to my senses. I switched my phone to call Paige and dialed her number. Before I questioned my husband, I wanted to hear Paige's story. You finally watched it. I'm glad, Paige said as she asked the waiter to use the private room. As soon as we entered, I asked her, What's going on, Paige? Did you intentionally set this up? There is a reason for this. Anyway, please take this video to the law firm. I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? Then she told me about her and my husband's history. From the beginning of her story, my head began to spin. Before my husband and I started dating, she was dating him. She turned pale when she found out that the groom of the wedding I invited her to, James, was the man she was dating. Although she cut off contact with him after our wedding and ignored him, my husband apparently contacted her and said,
I will break up with that woman soon, so wait for me.
She was curious about his true intentions, so she went to ask him. Since then, he had been telling her about his complaints about me during meals ever since. I had already decided that I wouldn't have a relationship beyond meals, but his bad-mouthing and attitude toward you were too much, so I came up with a plan for this hidden camera. But if that's the case, you become his affair partner. Yes, I'm aware of that. She apologized to me and continued the story. She had planned our divorce at the risk of being claimed for compensation. She deliberately approached my husband, went in and out of our house, and did unnatural cleaning and tidying up while preparing homemade dishes to make me suspect him of having an affair. She thought that the scene would be advantageous evidence in the divorce negotiations and came up with the idea of the hidden camera. Why did you go that far? You're also a victim of my husband, I said, emphasizing my tone. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said, Please watch the kitchen video, Carol. I learned more shocking facts from the kitchen video and her story. In the video, my husband was adding something to the food every time after Paige left. According to Paige, James apparently said to her,
My wife is infertile, so eventually I will divorce her because of it.
Furthermore, he let slip in high spirits.
I'm researching herbs to make her infertile.
Paige apologized, saying, I was asked to do it, but I was the one making the herb and spicy food. You are not to blame. It's the terrible husband who's at fault. I'm sorry. Please go to the lawyer's office right away. You are also a victim. It must have been tough for you too. I won't let this evidence you let me have by sacrificing yourself go to waste. Before we knew it, we were holding hands and crying. We put the smartphone with the video in the bag and left the shop. Although I returned home later than usual, James started preparing dinner with kind words. I'm sorry, I don't have much of an appetite today, so I'm going to have something light.
Wouldn't you eat just this?
He offered a small dish with pepper in it. But no matter how much he tried to make me eat it, I didn't feel like eating after just hearing about what he does to the food. James looked troubled, but went to clean up, and I didn't bother to tell him about the video. When he fell asleep, I packed my bags and checked that the video and other evidence were put away in them. The stuff he put in the food was captured in the video, so I also grabbed that and put it in my bag for evidence. The next morning at breakfast, I said, I'm going on a business trip from today, so I won't be able to come back for a while.
How long will you be gone?
Until the result come out, I guess.
Is it that tough of a job?
I don't know what will happen, so I will contact you when the result come out. I then told him that I was leaving and went straight to the lawyer's office. After watching the video I presented, the lawyer explained confidently.
This video is sufficient evidence. The divorce will progress in your favor.
The divorce was finalized early, as the lawyer predicted. The matter of James trying to make me infertile was treated as an intentional act, so the lawyer contacted the police, and James was arrested. The result came out, so I'm letting you know.
What's going on?
I heard from Paige that you are plotting against me.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Please help me.
What are you talking about? You will pay for your actions. I went to visit him at the prison.
Won't you consider a settlement?
James just clutched to the board in the middle, crying. What? Settlement? You must serve your sentence. Neither Paige nor I will forgive you. You are such a despicable loser. My anger exploded, and I couldn't help but scream the words that my husband once said to me. Later on, Paige admitted to having an affair with my husband and offered to pay me compensation. However, she was also the reason why things ended the way they did. I consulted with a lawyer, and she agreed to pay half the compensation amount after I deducted the gratitude for her. My ex-husband lost his job while serving his sentence, and after his release, he struggled to find work. Paying the compensation was a huge financial burden, and it was his own doing. I was worried about infertility, but fortunately, I was not infertile, and the herb had not affected me. I was curious about Paige, so I contacted her after receiving the results. You were worried about me, but don't worry, I'm not infertile. That's great. I'm really relieved. Let's continue to be conversation partners. Thank you. Yes, if you don't mind. Let's learn to choose men more wisely from now on. Yes, let's do that. We both laughed and hung up. I remember the beginning of our relationship and chuckled to myself. At the time, he looked good, and he was good at treating women. I fell for it, and I let him lead me on. But now, I have to look for sincere men, I said to myself, feeling a sense of realization. I sat on the front steps of my house and chanted, "Don't rush, don't rush, don't rush." I'm here now, having learned that being with someone can change your life.